very, I want to say a very big thank you to Mark George Consulting. It's a privilege as well to be able to be the facilitator for this. I hope I got that correctly for this course, and it's privileged to be here. And I really want to say thank you very much from the MD to the organizers. I'm really grateful. So I do not want to take much of our time, so I just want to go right into it. Um, yeah. So, okay. So yes. Okay. I believe we can. Can we see my screen? If you can see my screen, I just need like an emoji, something like that, to make sure you guys can see my screen. So can you guys see my screen? Hello. Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah. Let's go into it. Okay. So my name is Tuluwala Sheolaniyo. I am a software developer at Mac George Consulting Limited, and I'm going to be taking you on introduction to CSS styling, and that's styling web pages. So yeah, my colleague AY Mayodeji, I'm sure he took you last week on HTML. That's the foundation, the starting point for everything. Yeah, that's HTML. But I before starting the course, I think before starting the course, this morning, one thing I was thinking of is everything in nature is I believe in God, and I need to first start with that because I don't just believe everything we see today just popped out of nowhere. Understand? Because there's this force that was behind the creation of the world. But I believe that God Himself is a designer. He does not just bring out the raw form. He takes his time to design everything, and of course you can see design as the system of how the world operates. There is morning, the sun sets. The sun starts somewhere, sets in a particular place, but there's also that design of systems, but there's also, the environment, the beautification of the environment, how God took his time to design everything. He did not just leave the world colorless, like, the leaves are green, the earth is, I'm talking about ground now, ground earth is brown, snow is white. God took time to give everything colors, and that's one of the and that's why when it comes to web development also, colors they really speak a lot. Colors really they pass a message, they pass an instruction. You understand? I'm not a brand designer, but like graphics and all these things, but they work more on colors. They work more on communicating brand, communicating colors communicating information through colors. But I'm a UI UX designer, and I tend to understand that colors also speak so much. They speak so much about the brand. They speak so much to the users as well. When you are using an application and you want to delete something, you probably see the delete is a red button. So that's like a warning that this step that you are about to take is almost irreversible. You understand? So that's the communication. And that's why, if that button was not colored, was not given any color, probably you would not even know how important, or whether this is a warning. So that's how colors are generally. So, and that's why CSS is very important. So I just wanted to say why CSS is the purpose. You understand why it was created, and its uses, because the purpose when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable. And that's why I always used to start from that ground. Why CSS? Why was the concept of CSS even developed? Do we need it? And and that's what I want. That's what I just communicated with everyone now. So moving on, um, the language of style, and that is CSS. So I don't want to. I want to put myself on a timer here so that because we are also going to take a practical class. You understand? We are not just here to just talk and move through slides. We are here to be as practical as we can be. So we need that foundation. That's why we're working through this. So the language of style, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is not a programming language. It is a style sheet language. So what do I mean by CSS is not a programming language? Now, there are languages that they give the computer instructions. Okay, let's take a robot. You write a program. You write a program in a specific language, probably JavaScript. I work more with JavaScript. In fact, recently I was going through a code editor while I was learning JavaScript. I think like 4 years ago, and I was given a task to write an instruction for a light bulb to switch on a light bulb and to switch off a light bulb. So I was tasked, that was like a beginner's task, and I was asked to do that in JavaScript. So JavaScript is a programming language because you can tell the computer to do this. You can give it zero, stop, one, continue. You can give it that instruction, zero, zero, no, one, yes. So that's how programming languages work. But when it comes to CSS, CSS is not a programming language. CSS is used to give a better presentation of web content. That's what the job of CSS is, to give a better presentation of web content. So I hope that has been clear. Why it is not a programming language. CSS is no programming language. It is not to give the computer, it's not to give a machine instructions. No, there are languages for that, Python, JavaScript, but CSS is just to style that HTML language, just to style that markup language, the HTML. So analogy, I just want to give a simple analogy because I just want us to get the point I'm trying to make here. So if HTML is the structure, the walls, the rooms, the foundations of a house, like there can be a house and it has walls that are probably not painted, but the CSS is the interior design, the paint, the furniture, the curtains. So that's how CSS is. It brings that beauty. It communicates, that feeling. There's something called user experience. When you use a product, when you use a digital product, in fact, not even a digital product, when you take like a carton or something that has been branded, you have that feeling. Oh, there's chocolate inside this nylon. The color will definitely be dark brown. You understand? That's just to communicate that feeling to you. So the key concept here is that HTML, and that's why HTML, separating content HTML from presentation CSS makes websites easier to maintain, update, and redesign. And that's why my colleague last week took HTML as a separate course, and I am taking CSS as another course. You understand? We are trying to separate it so that, for best practices, so that websites will be easier to maintain, understand, to update and redesign. So next slide. The three ways to apply CSS. So I'm just going to go straight. There are a lot of ways to apply CSS as a way. I'm currently working on a project at work, and I was going through these slides and I was like, the way I apply CSS in the current project that I'm working is not the way we are applying CSS here. But I want you to know that these are the basic, and these are the basics. These are the basic, and of course there are more ways to apply CSS, but these are the basic as well. And the first one is inline CSS. Inline CSS. Styles are applied directly to the HTML elements using the style attributes for quick one-off testing. So I believe you should be familiar with H1, the H1 tag, and the content here is hello. But when we talk about, from your knowledge of HTML, you should be familiar with that. And when we talk about when we talk about inline style, within that tag, within that H1 tag, there is a style given to it, and that is, for now, it has a property and a value, a property of color and a value of red. So that's when it comes to the H1. That's the H1 tag. So when it comes to inline CSS, you are giving it a style within the H1 tag. So that's inline. This is to be quick. In fact, this is what, of course, don't let me go ahead of myself, but this is for you to be fast. You just want to quickly style something. Just want to see how it appears on, how it renders on, the web page. You can use inline CSS. So I just want to confirm if we are following. If you are following, can you just give me an emoji? I just want to see emojis as well, so that it won't be like I'm just okay, okay. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it, because for a while there, I thought probably what's going on in people's minds is that this guy is just talking to himself. But thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And of course, and I'm also aware that there are a lot of people that are like, let me call them bosses in the game, and they are probably joining. They are probably joining because okay, the school asked us to join, and they can probably do a better job than I am doing right here. I totally get that, but and there will be opportunity for that, because I'm also here to learn. The truth about this whole thing is that there is a lot to learn, a lot to learn. And one thing I believe is having rubbing minds together. I believe in we might not always agree on, okay, this is the best path forward, but rub minds together. What you know, I probably don't know. What I know, you probably don't know. But when we come together, you understand, we are aware of things we weren't aware of initially. So, and that's why I really want us. Well, of course, we are going to go through this step, but we are going to get to the practical session, and I'm going to share with you, understand where the code base is, and I will really appreciate feedback. Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting to. I would appreciate feedback, question. I don't just want people to ask questions. Of course, ask questions if you do not understand, but I would like feedback. Okay, Tolu, you did this. You can do it this way. We can improve on it this way, because I'm going to be taking you for the next 2 weeks. I'm also going to be here by God's grace next week and upper next week. So, and that's why I really want that exchange. You understand? For the 3 weeks, we are going to be communicating. So I don't just want people who are just here to, of course, be here to learn, good, but I also want you to contribute. You understand? And that's why I'm going to share, my GitHub profile and where the code base is, so that you can go there and just raise an issue for those who are, of course, who are conversant with, understand? But if you're not that conversant, of course, you cannot ask questions here. So, and that's why I'm going to give time for that. So, thank you very much. That's just by the way. So, let us return to the 3 ways to apply CSS. The second one is the internal CSS. Styles defined within the style tag in the head section of an HTML document. So, for styling a single unique page. So good. So when we talk about internal CSS, it's going to be within that HTML document. I believe from what Ayodele has communicated, you already know what a .html file is. You're already familiar with that. So within that .html file, we put a style. within the head section, I believe you are also familiar with the head section. Within the head section, you understand, there is a style, and that's what the snapshot is showing right here. Within that head section, there is a style, and you can style a whole page within that HTML document. So that is internal CSS. So there is inline within the HTML tag. There is internal CSS within the HTML document. So I believe that is well communicated. And of course, please, there will be room for questions at the end of the session. You understand? So I'm not shying away from your questions. If I don't know something, I will tell you that I don't know it, and I will make more research, and I will get back to you in the next class. So please understand. Don't be afraid to ask your questions. And of course, you understand, we are here to learn. We are all here to learn. So I really would, in fact, I'm anticipating your feedback and your responses with your questions. So lastly, the external CSS. So when you want to, this is the best practice. Like, this is the best practice. In fact, at work, my team lead wants the CSS well arranged in another file. So this is best practice. Don't style it within the tag. Don't style it in the head tag, which is internal CSS. External CSS, when this thing has a separate CSS file, a .css file, and it is linked to the HTML document using the link tag. I think that person should be muted. Yeah, I wouldn't really appreciate. Yeah, thank you very much. I don't really appreciate distractions. Thank you. So the industry standard best for styling multiple pages consistently. So that link tag within the head tag in the HTML document, which you can see here, links us to the styles.css page. So there's the styles.css file. I'm sorry. So that CSS file, all your styles, everything that has to do with your CSS, you write it in that page. So I completely understand that you might be looking at it that, okay, what is this guy saying? I'm losing him. The truth is that when we begin to put this into practice, you begin to understand, oh, this is what this guy was saying. This is what this guy was saying. But we need to just lay that foundation. That yes, there is a way to style, which is you style within the HTML tag just to quickly get a response, just to quickly see how it will render on the web page. That's what I mean by response. Secondly, you can style within the head tag of an HTML document, a .html file. That is internal CSS. And thirdly, which is best practice, industry standard, and it is best for styling multiple pages consistently. You know how beautiful an external CSS file is that you can use one CSS file to style a lot of HTML pages, a lot of HTML pages. I think that's what Ayodeji does at work, and it's actually very beautiful when he does it. So you understand? So it is so that's what I mean by it is best for styling multiple pages consistently when you have that separate CSS file. So the external CSS, and that's what we are going to be working with in our practice today. So okay, next slide. So yeah, the basic syntax and selectors. So you need to understand CSS syntax. It's not a programming language, but it has its own rules, and it has its laid down rules and principles that you have to follow. Yeah, so syntax, a rule set, consists of a selector and a declaration box. So what do I mean by a selector? A selector can be, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so don't let me define what a selector is. We'll see that in the next slide. But you need to understand that this is how CSS is styled. A selector, a property, and a value. The property and a value are inside what we call a declaration block. This declaration block is defined by those curly braces after the selector and at the end of the code. That's what is basically described here. I'm currently working on a native Wind. I'm currently using native Wind to style, a React Native project. This is mobile app, and that's how advanced, I have gone with software development. But you know, I was still looking at. I was trying to just break a few things, and I still found out that it is still the same CSS style. It's this same CSS syntax that it is being following. It is still following, despite how advanced native Wind is. It is like the foundation, the basics is still this selector declaration block. Within the declaration block, property and its value is still this same style, this exact syntax. That is what is still following. So why did I bring up that story? Why did I bring up the whole route of I'm working on this React Native project? I brought it for you to know that, see, foundations are very important when it comes to whatever it is you are doing. First principles. This is how CSS and styling anything. You understand? We're no more talking about web applications now. We're no more talking about websites. We're not talking about mobile apps. And this is still the foundation. This is still how it is. Of course, it's not rendered this way. You understand? It's made much simpler. But if you look inwardly, if you try and if you try to look inwardly into that code, you realize that the layer is still this. So it might look like you are learning something very simple, but if you want to advance in this career, you still need to understand that this is the foundation. This is the basic CSS syntax. This is how it will be till the end of time. This is the foundation. You understand? That is the foundation. So, and that's why I'm taking time to explain this to you step by step, because I want to be one of those people who allowed you to know this is so that you can get something from this as a way. And majority of what you will learn, you understand, is based on your own personal interest. You understand? Is based on your own personal. Not everybody will sit down and be walking through every detail with you, but you understand, if you have interest in this, you understand, you'll be able to advance more. But if you are privileged to have someone to give you a foundation, that's good for you. So now let me explain what I mean by selectors. So now, CSS selectors are patterns used to target and select the HTML elements you want to style. So you want to style certain HTML elements, like AY Ayodele has described. There is a P paragraph element, there's H1 heading element, and image elements, so within tags. But now my own job is that I want to style those elements, and there are different ways we can style them. Number one is the element itself, the element selector. Number two is the class selector. We are going to discuss this more. And number three is the ID selector. So the core selectors, number one is the element selector. So you are picking the element. You are picking every P tag that is linked to this CSS file should have a color of blue. And that's what this code basically describes here. See, one of the best ways to learn code is to translate it to English, plain basic English. Code is just like another language that the computer understands. That's just code. But communication, you understanding code is just you understanding, being able to, you don't understand, like, if you understand me, like, you are taking code and you are making it English. That's basically how you understand it. So you need to be able to explain, not just to yourself, but to other people. You understand that this is written like this, but this is it. This is what it means. This is it in English. I was listening to someone who previously worked at Meta, and they were like, they literally employed somebody just to put comments on code. And what do they mean by that? Like, every block of code, this person is explaining it in English. And nowadays, with advance of AI and different technologies, documentation and things written down in English, plain, simple language, is more valued than code. But of course, that's up for debate and other discussion. But I just wanted you to understand. I want you to understand that whatever line of code, you understand, make it simple in English to yourself, and that's how you understand. So this line of code, let me explain it to you again. Every P element that is linked to this CSS file, this is a CSS file, is given a color of blue. So the element is P, the property is color, and the value of that property is blue. So that's basically it. So class selector. What do I mean by class selector? Now, let me quickly go to let me write something down. I hope it's here. Okay. I'll share this tab now. Just give me a moment. Because I want to show you what a class selector is. Very good. So, okay, yes. So, hello, can we see this tab? I want a thumbs up if we can, thumbs anything just for me to know that, oh, we can see this tab before I move on. Hello? Okay, very good, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, let me get back to it. So, yeah, so, now, what do I mean by a class? Now, if you look at this is a div. Let me use this section. Okay, let me use, I saw this in one of Ayodeji's tutorial on the ordered list and the list tags. So you are familiar with this. So this is a class, and this is the name of the class, nav links. So on the HTML file, this is an index.html file. Within the ordered list, this UL, I am giving it a class of nav links. Now, how do I reference that in the style.css? It will be a dot nav links, and that's what we are talking about when it comes to class dot CSS. That's when it comes to class selectors. Class selectors. So we reference it using a class on the HTML. We give a certain thing a class in the HTML document, and in the .css file, we reference that class by giving it a period and the name of the class. So, yeah, so let's get back to our slide. So, and that's what I discussed there. Just give me a moment. I just want to reduce that background noise. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry for that brief interruption. I just wanted to reduce that noise. So class selector. So I believe that has been clearly explained. So you give a certain element a class name, then you go to the CSS file that it is linked to, and you give it a period dot name of the class, and that's what I did here. So what I'm trying to say here, let me explain this in English, is that the HTML file that is linked to this current CSS file, every element that has been given a class of card has a border radius of 10 pixels. That's as simple as that. So that's what I mean here. So now let's go to the next one, which is ID selector. Now, an ID selector, just like the same way that a class is given a name, This ID is given, it's also as a claim where a class is given a name, an ID is also given a name for a certain element. Now, in this case, let me explain this line of code in English. In this case, every header tag in the HTML is given every element with an ID of header linked to this CSS file as a background of black, a background color of black. That's as simple as this line of code. So just like the way you can name an element, a general element of a class of card, you understand? You want every element like this to be a card. You give it a class of card. You want a single specific element to have this color. You give it an ID. So that's what class. Class is like a group. ID is like specific. So that's just the difference between class and ID. So, but of course, the representation in the CSS is also different. For class, it is a period, then the name of the class. But for ID, it is an hash and the name of the class, the name of the ID. So I believe I can move on. So core styling properties. So of course, I've told you what selectors are. Now we are going to properties. So properties are text and font. They include the color, set the text color. Like I told you that every p tag has a property of color and a value of blue. The font family defines the typeface, Arial, Comic Sans. Font size sets the size of the text, 14 pixel, 20 pixel. Text aligns the text to either the left, the center, or the right. Yeah, and secondly, the box model, which is the foundation of everything. I think the box model, give me a moment. Is it? Yes. I want to use this to explain the box model. So you can see the content, the padding, the border, and the margin. So what do I mean by the box model? So is it? Okay, please, let's do well to just mute our mics. Personally, I didn't want any people on much people on Zoom that much, but the reason why is just for clear communication. You understand? Just for clear communication, and so that we can get the best out of this, and not to waste time in controlling the crowd. Yeah, so that's why I do not appreciate any form of distraction. Thank you very much. So the box model foundation, the background color fills the background of an element. The background color fills the background of an element. That's one. The border adds a border around an element, which is described here. That's that border. Can we see this border around an element? That's the is it peach color now? Yeah, well, sorry, very brown color or something. So that's that about the border, and there is the margin creates a space outside the border between elements. So when you want to separate, elements from another element, when you're working with React Native, it's not div you use now, you use view. You understand, and you give that specific view. Probably you want a vertical spacer. You want a space between an element and another element. You understand? You give it probably a margin top of 24 pixels. You just want to create that space. So what that's just the function of a spacer, and you use a margin for that to create that space between two elements. So the padding creates a space inside the border around the content. So margin outside spacing, padding with spacing inside. You understand? So margin outside spacing, padding inside. You understand? So that's that about margin and padding. And this diagram clearly explains it. So when we talk about, we have the content. Every content is like a box. We have the padding within it, an inner space. You understand? And we have a border that gives it, that defines that content. I define it that, okay, this is the space. This is the space around it, and it gives that solid representation of, a well-defined of that defined space. And the margin, so that is outside spacing, and that's what we can see here. So, okay, the box model, I've clearly explained that every HTML element is essentially a rectangular box. Understanding this is crucial for layout. The content, the text, the padding, the transparent space within it, around the elements, the border, a line that goes around the padding and content, and the margin, the transparent space outside the border separating elements from each other. So I have explained that with, this image right here. So yeah, we're working with time right now. So layout. So before I say this, in the next class, we are going to be talking about Flexbox and I think CSS grids, if I'm not mistaken. So that's our next class. But I just want to briefly explain Flexbox to us here so that we can know how to use it in this practical that we are going to take. So the flexbox is a one-dimensional layout method designed to arrange items in rows or columns efficiently. To use it, you need to firstly apply a display of flex to a parent container. Now, as much as I want to explain what a parent container is to you, I'm just going to give you a simple ideology. So there is a div, there is a box. That is our parent container. Within that box, there is another box. That is what we call our child container. Let me explain it again. There is a box, a parent container. Within that box, inside that box, there is another box. That is what we call our child. That's what is called child container. So now, if you want to make that parent container a flex box, which is a one-dimensional layout method designed to arrange items in rows or columns efficiently, you need to give that parent container a property of display and with a value of flex. So that's how you make that parent container a flex box that will not affect the display of the children. It's because it's not compulsory, it must be only a box within that parent container. There could be, lots of boxes, and to bring it home here, lots of children. So, but the common properties now include the flex direction. It sets the main axis. This could be a row and this could be a column. There are practical questions that we will take. We will make you to understand this better. The justify content aligns items along the main axis. So if you want the children to be centered within the parent box, you give it a justify content of center. If you want the children to be evenly spaced within the flex box, you give it a space between. Now, when you talk about cross axis, let's say the main axis is horizontal, the cross axis is perpendicular to the main axis. So if you want the items to align perpendicularly if you want the items to align at the center perpendicularly to the main axis, you give it an align items of center. But if you want them to, occupy space as much as they can, you give it an align items of stretch. So I know that might be a little bit disturbing, but of course, with more research, number two, and we are also going to take a practical course right now. So this will be explained here. And I'm also going to buttress that part because I want you to understand. I don't just want to talk and leave. I want you to understand. This is not about me sounding nice. No, it's about you coming here, your 2 hours here, and it's not wasted. You get what you want, and you're able to apply it to develop new things. And I want to see people that would do websites, and that's why I'm releasing the code base. You understand? Go and modify it. Go and break it, scatter the thing, and try and rearrange it. You understand? Come up with your own website. You understand? Nowadays, what you are doing is very simple with artificial intelligence. But you can ask AI to to break it to you down in basic, in to break it to you down in simple basic form. And that's why that's why we are of course going to take this practical class. So benefit, it simplifies creating complex responsive layouts without acts like flutes. Of course, there's a property called flutes. I think the last time I used it was when I was also learning CSS. Nowadays it's more of flexbox, so we might not really use it, but flexbox has more advantage and is used majorly more than flute. So I just want to bring that in your note. And then of course there are also properties like flute. So the next one is responsive design. Yeah, this is going to be our last class, but we are going to be using it here in today's tutorial. And that's why I wanted to bring that into your note too. Responsive design with media queries. Responsive design, they ensure websites look good on all devices. You understand? The reason why I can view a website on my laptop and it looks nice, and I'm viewing it on my phone and it looks nice also, is because of that responsive design. It's because of these media queries. Basically, that's it. That's what it is. You understand? Of course, when you are working with mobile apps, you understand, you don't need media queries. You're just designing for the mobile screen alone. But when you're working with websites, you're designing for a lot of screens: a tablet, a phone, a desktop. And that's why, a website that is not well, that responsiveness was not factored into its design. When you put it on a phone, and it's looking very nice on the website, but when you put it on a phone, it's just ugly. It's not nice. So that's where responsive design with media queries come in. And now let me explain this to you in English as well. So at media query, that's the syntax. Max width of 768 pixels and is given a body of font size 14 pixels. So the body here is our selector. So everything within the body element, that within the body element of an HTML page linked to this CSS file, has a font size of 14 pixels with a condition: only screens, and that's what at media means, only screens with a maximum width of 768. And what does maximum width mean? 768 and below. 768 and below. That's what maximum width. So they will all have a body with a font size of 14 pixels. So that's basically this code in English. And 768 and below, they are styles for tablets and phones. So yes, the next slide. Oof. So mobile first design. So yes, and this is the best approach, the most common approach. And even at work, you're given an instruction to start designing from mobile. We should approach mobile first designs, and that's what we are going to do here. So this means that every screen 768 and above, that's what minimum width is, at least 768 and above, you understand, should have a body and a font size of 14 pixels. So from tablet breakpoint upward, and that's what this screen is for. So yeah, so let's just do a brief recap of what we have been saying, and we'll just take a 5 minutes break or 10 minute break, and we can proceed to our practical class. So next steps and best practices. So CSS is for styling, use selectors, using use selectors, and of course I've explained the box model. Best practices, use external CSS. Yeah, we prefer external style sheets, which I've explained for live projects. We use classes, not IDs, for styling. Use classes. You want to reuse. If you want to reuse more, you want to use a card style for a lot of elements. You understand? You just use classes, not IDs. IDs are for specificity, but classes are for general use. So don't confuse them, because they have the same use case, but classes are for a lot. to style like a group. But IDs, these are specific. These are specific. You understand? So be consistent, please. Be consistent with your naming convention, especially when you are working with other people. When you're working as a group, be consistent. From experience, I know that can cause a lot of issues. So be consistent. So inspect and experiment. Use your browser developers tool to test CSS changes live. So when you begin to work on projects, this will be something you use a lot. But I use an additional extension, browser extension, which is called pesticide. You understand? Just to make sure that okay, are my CSS changes working as they should. So yes, the practical exercise. So in the next 5 minutes, we're just going to take a break just for me to set up what I need to get set up, and um, we are going to start the practical exercise. So, and I'm also going to, please, if you want to follow along, which I would strictly advise, I would really admonish you do, go to codepen.io. There is a live ID. I know probably you can use VS Code and what's it called now? Live server. But I'm going to be using CodePen so that is the best for me. It's actually the best way you can use to quickly learn, CSS. Apply your style and you see it immediately. You understand? So I'm going to be using CodePen. That's a live ID, not the one you have installed locally, like VS Code. No, this codepen.io. I think I'm going to. I don't know if the moderator can help me to put that in the chat box, because that's what we are going to be using. You understand, to go to delve deeper, and the GitHub repo. I think I should also upload the slides to there, but I'm going to do that after the class. The GitHub repo, which has the code that we are going to be using, I'm also going to share the link in the description below, so that once it's 11:05, you can follow along. I'm also going to share, where that repo is. I'm going to share it. So I'm going to share that link right now. Okay. So please, once it's 11:05, we are starting immediately the practical session. So I don't know, Victor, have you codepen.io? Have you shared that? Because I want to put that in the chat box now.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's in the chat box. It's in the chat
Okay,
box.
codepen. Yeah, codepen.io. Thank you very much.
You have questions for you there, though.
There are questions.
Yeah.
Is it possible we take? Okay, okay. Let's give them 10 minutes, because this practical session is much more important. But of course, your questions are very important. So 10 minutes. Let's 5-10 minutes questions. So you can just read some questions and let me quickly answer them. Hello, Victor. Did you hear me?
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Okay.
just about the practical section. So someone here is using Replit, I think the AI. So they now said, do we need to download a new app for CSS? No.
I think I'm taking the questions. I said, do we need to download a new app for CSS? Like I said, there are a lot of people that know this work more than me that will join the call, and of course you are welcome as well. But this is an introductory class. That's number one. An introduction. I think the course is Introduction to CSS. So this is an introductory class. So when you talk about Replit and all these vibe coding tools, it's not in the scope of this class. I think that's just one thing I want to. That's just one thing I would like to address. So please, let's stick with codepen.io, and let's, for the sake of the class, you understand. So let's stick with codepen.io. It's you can just type it on your browser right now, and that's why I wanted it. There's no need for installation or anything like that. So there's no need for installation or anything. So you just use it live on your browser. I believe that's the only question. Victor, is that the only question? Or what about on YouTube? Any question? Because we are starting 11:05. Hello, Victor. Any question from YouTube?
Yeah, let me check YouTube.
Okay, so that we can get started. Good. So yeah, you can go through the code base too. I sent it
All
to
right,
you.
so currently we are not on YouTube. I think the volume of the class is less than 100, so we are just on Zoom.
Okay, okay, okay. That's good. That's very good. Yes, I think it was used repeat for the last class. So I can see a question here from QST Media. I don't know about this skill. I'm just asking because we used repeat for the last class. So I'm going to use different apps every time we have a new class. Oh, there is not, this is not an application. It's just like it's just like for us to test what we are doing. So you can decide to use another. We are not going to, at least for my class, we are just going to stick with codepen.io. So I think that answered the question. Can we do it on our phone? Yes, yes, it is. It is mobile phone friendly. I'm not sure, but I remembered when there was a guy I knew who was learning how to code using his phone. So and that's what he used. But I'm not really sure if I can't really access my VS Code. Can we do it later? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you use your CodePen if you use codepen.io on your browser, what we want to do is a basic practical exercise. So if you decide you want to flow with VS Code, if you're conversant with it, you know how to use this live server extension, that's good. But for everybody to just open to it immediately, you can just use codepen.io. So I'm just waiting for 11:05 here so that I can walk us through CodePen. And and if you have any question, I think this is actually a good point. Supposed to be taking a break, so no problem. Oof, and I really hope we can continue. So yeah, so we have 3 more minutes till the okay. 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 So yeah. Mhm. So, mhm. So yeah, I believe we are all on codepen.io. So codepen.io. So the next 5 minutes we are going to be starting. Just 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Record it. Okay, I can see a question here, and this is going to be like the last question I'm going to answer. Are we supposed to paste this link on codepen.io? No, no, no. As you click on that link, you would see, when you click on that link, you would see the HTML and CSS file. So let me share that. Let me answer that question. When you click on that link, you would come here. You would see the index.html file and the style.css file. So when you click on this index.html file, you would see the code, the HTML code right here, as you can see currently. So what you can do right now is to copy this code from here. No. I think there should be. Okay, you can just come here, click on Control A, click on it, click on Control A, copy, then go to codepen.io, then you would paste. But I'm going to walk you through that right now. So that's what that link is for. I just wanted to answer your question, but I'm going to go over it again so that you would get me. So I'm just going to go over that again right now. So yeah, we need to start the class now. Okay. So so the person that asked that question, you can just follow what I'm going to do now, and you will get what I'm saying right now. So so yes, this is the commencement of the practical exercise, and the goal is to apply the concept from the slides, what we've learned, the selectors, the box model, flexbox, responsiveness. We are going to style a simple HTML page, and that's why we are flowing with codepen.io. It's just simple, just for you to style a simple HTML page. So the HTML page is already available. You understand? Even the CSS is available, but I'm going to walk you through the CSS because that's why you join this class, to have an introductory, to take an introduction to have an introductory class on CSS. So the CSS code is available for you to also follow through, and the HTML code is available. But I'm going to be walking through with you on the HTML step by step. So on the CSS step by step, AY Ayodeji has already taken HTML, so you should be familiar with that. And so let's get to. So I pasted the link here, and the link is github.com Toluwalase. Let me just paste that again so that you can follow me. So that's already on the group chat. So once you have this link, once you click on it, it will take you to this tab. So I believe we can all see this tab. So it will take you to this tab. Then you come and you click on the index.html. Index.html, you click on it, and this tab comes up. Then to copy this code, you can just click on the code, and Control A, you want to copy everything, Control A, Control C, Control A, and Control C. Then you go to codepen.io. Go to share the screen of codepen.io now. Okay, now this is codepen.io. You should, once you get to codepen.io, you need to log in with your Gmail, just straight up with your Gmail. Log in with your Gmail. That's all you need to log in with your Gmail, and so that you won't bother yourself too much. And once you log in, you get to this page. Once you get to this page, you click on new pen right here, that is highlighted here, new pen. When you click on new pen, this comes up. So you can name the file simple web, and that's that, and you can save it. Once you save that, good. Once you save that, you can now. The beautiful thing about CodePen, and that's why I wanted us to use it, is that there's already an HTML file already for you. a CSS file. You can see at the left hand, there's a CSS file for you, and there's also a JavaScript file for you. But of course, our focus is not JavaScript today, is CSS. So you don't even need to start .css. No, it has been created for you. And this white screen here is where you will be seeing your live feed. Is where you will be seeing, you understand, where you'll be seeing your live feed, where you'll be seeing your elements being styled. So, and that's what I wanted to explain to us here. So in fact, you can move this to another tab. You can open this browser on another tab, which you would see right here. So let me share this tab to you now. Wow, can you see that? So if that's what I would advise you to do, move that browser. There is like you move that browser to another tab, then it is right here, and you can still view the source code again. So this is it, and you can move the browser. Look at this small button here. You can open live in a new window. So that's your browser. So this is your browser. That's it. So yeah. So right now, this is our HTML. Let me arrange this better. Okay, good. This is better. This is much better. Much better. So now that HTML code that we copied from GitHub, we are going to paste it here. Control V. That's just what I did here. Control Z. Now, if you come here to the browser, you should see like a change. I'm coming. Give me a moment. A moment. Just a moment, please. Okay, yes. So you do not need all this. Okay, so I'm so sorry. It's just the body that goes here. Yeah, so you don't need any of this at the moment. I'm coming. Just a moment. So let me see, because I do. Let me just. I try to figure out why this isn't working. It should solve right now. This should work right now. Okay, this still isn't working. Okay. Okay, let me see this now. Is it still working? Oh, it's working now. Sorry. That scared me a little bit. I did not save. That was the problem. It's not even necessarily the HTML tag that is there. So please, you can see I didn't save. That's Control S. I didn't save. I'm so sorry. I didn't save. I think this should be auto enabled just to prevent that again. Let me see if I can auto enable it. Auto save. Yeah, it's actually on auto save. I didn't save. I didn't save it. So that was why, I'm going to share, the code base with you now. Let me do this again. Let me do this again. And you're going to, so when you come from GitHub, I'm very sorry for that. I didn't save as well. So when you come from GitHub, you copy and you paste that code here. So you click on save. So once it is saved, remember that we are taking, you come here and you want to check, you want to open the browser in a new window. So this is the HTML code without CSS. So that's that about that. That's been solved. So now CSS. Let's take it step by step. CSS. So wow, time is really against us. I just have 30 minutes to work on this so that we won't use more than the allocated time. So yes, CSS. So the first thing we are going to do as regards CSS is to be a moment. Yeah. Yes. Is we are going to style the body. So the body is the element that we are calling first. And remember what I said about it being mobile responsive. That's what I said about it being mobile. We are starting with the mobile. That's best practice. We are starting with mobile responsiveness. So this is the code to style the body. Good. Now, let me explain this to you in English. The body with a font family of Arial could also be sans serif. The margin, that means the whole body, does not have any outside spacing, and that's why we gave it a 0. And a background color of F4, F4, F4. So now, let me save this. Good. And let me check this in the browser. Okay. Let me make this mobile responsive. We designed for mobile responsiveness first. So okay, give me a moment here. Good. So I think I can share this screen now. So can we see this? I believe we can see this. So this is the mobile. So this is what we are designing for first. Mobile. That's best practice. And we are currently it doesn't look nice yet because this is just raw HTML. We are styling it one step after the other. So we have given it a margin of 0, a font family of Arial, and other properties. So let me try and manipulate this a little bit. Probably we can get more insight into what we are doing here. Let me save this. And okay, it is not okay. Yes, can you see this? Now you are wondering, how did this thing change to red? It's because I did not share my screen here. Can you see this? I changed the background color to red. And that's why the background color here is red. So I'm just trying to let you know the power of CSS here. It styles, we gave the whole body a background color of red. So that's that about that. So yes, let's go back to our code base. And let me change this back to the normal color. F4, F4, F4. So let me save this. So please, your questions, I would really appreciate them. Let me share it. Let me show you this now. Good. So, sorry, I don't know why I have to reload this. This is something that, that's changed because I changed it back to F4, F4. So, so now, good. Please, let's move forward so that we will not take much of our time today. So, now, the next thing we are going to be styling is the header, the main header, using an ID selector. We are being specific, and that's why we are using an ID selector. So Yes. Yes. So and then a main header. These codes are directly from the GitHub which I've uploaded, and I'm just going to be explaining it to you. So right here, if you look into the body, it is the header here, this header tag. Let me try and expand this more so that we can see this better. So I'm going to, of course, study every drawback. This tutorial is my first, so I'm going to study every drawback with CodeFriend so that we can have a better experience in our next class. So please work with me here. So this is the header element from here to here, and it has been given an ID, a specific ID that only the header should have hashtag main header, like we discussed, should have a background color of this is let me explain what I mean by hashtag, and let me change this. What I mean by hashtag 333 FFF. So there are X codes. I think this is something I should have spoken, I should have talked about. There are X code, RGB, and HSL. These are ways to represent color in CSS. Xcode, um, Xcode, which we have hexadecimal 6 numbers here. It will be hexadecimal numbers like from I think 1 to F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, then A B C D E F. I think that if I'm correct, hexadecimal if I'm correct. So that's how those numbers are. That's how we style colors. Majorly we are using X codes here. And that's why you see H33, HF4, F4, F4, H2. That's how we style codes. Although there are other ways of RGBA, where you're talking about red, green, blue. There's HSS, hue, saturation, and the L. I can't remember. I'm not trying to remember the L at the moment, but I think lightness or something. So that's how you style color. But here we are just using X code. So they are different. I just want to bring that to your knowledge that this is what we are flowing with X code. So, and of course, you can still use your normal color, red. Like the way I change this to red, you can use white, you can use blue. But white in this case, white in X code is HFF, FF. So that's how it is. So, and we are also told that the padding should be 15 pixels and the text should align to the center. Every text within the main header, talking about the H1, talking about talking about the H1, talking about the list tags, they should align to the center. So let's see how this would work. Let me save this and let's see how this would be in the browser. Let's see how this would be. Let's see if it comes out well. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't really come out nice because we are still styling. But we said, okay, the welcome to CSS should be at the middle. The home, the about, the services and the contact, they should also be at the middle. So we are designing for mobile first, and that's why I'm using this view. Sorry, I should share this tab. So this is how it is right now. So yeah. So we are designing for mobile first, and that's why I'm trying to make these mobile responses. Okay, let me use this view. Okay. So yes. So they are the middle at the moment, but this will get better. This will get better. But I just want to show you the process. So yeah, let's go back to our code base. Yeah. So the main header so what's the next thing we're styling? We're styling the nav links. Yes, we're styling the nav links. So we're giving so we are giving it we don't want any list style. Currently the default list style is none for nav links. What are the nav links? This is the nav links right here. As you can see, UL as a class of nav links, and within it there are list tags. So you are telling me that okay, everything within this nav link class should have a list style of none, should have the padding of 0, a margin top. That's what this means. So this is just shorthand. Let me explain. Let me write this out better. A margin top of 10 pixels. Imagine right of 0 pixel, and imagine left, and imagine bottom, and imagine left. Yes. So excuse me. Okay, good. So this is what this means when I write it as margin 10 pixel 0 pixel 0 0 0. So this is what it means. So that is what that means. You understand? So that's what this thing, they are the same thing. You understand? They are the exact same thing, but for there's no need to be repeating the same thing. So margin top 10 pixel, margin right 0 pixel, margin bottom 0, and margin left 0. So that's about that. So let's see how it is in the code base exactly. This should change. This should change. Text line. I'm coming. No. So this should change. Okay. Yeah. So that's the change is already coming. Change is already coming up. Yeah. Okay. So let's move ahead. I just want to show you the effect of that code. So now let's move to the next line of code. Don't even need this at the moment. Just not to confuse people, because I don't want anyone to be confused. So wow, this is a race against time. So we want to style the anchor tags inside the navigation. What do I mean by that? And also I put comments within the code in GitHub just for you to go over it and also understand it yourself. I took time to do that so that you can understand it. So yeah, I believe we are all flowing with me. So yes, and if it is looking sort of, please, your questions. That's why I really want to be done with this as soon as possible, so that I can take as many questions as possible. So what do I mean by this tag? Nav links list. It means that every list tag inside the nav link has a margin bottom outside spacing of 10 pixels. And that's what I mean by this. So let's see this in our code. Let's see the effect of this in our code base. Yes, so we can now see, let me share the tab. We can now see this. Yeah. You can see how this is at the moment. So you can see how this is at the moment. So it has that margin button. And there's this thing I said about inspect, just for you to be sure that, are we actually doing what it is that we are doing? Let me try and inspect it. So I can just want to briefly explain that point of inspect to you. So I don't know if you can see this side. You might not be able to see the console, or you won't be able to see that. So if you click on F12, you can inspect. You might not be able to see that. Yeah, you won't be able to see that. Yeah, I won't be able to see that. So let me not go further into that. But of course, let me not go further into that. But please, there has been a margin bottom for each of our links of 10 pixels. Wow, 11:30. Wow, wow, wow. They didn't tell me this time goes this fast too. So let's go back to our code base. Yeah. Okay. And I really want everyone to understand. But yes, let's go back to our code base here. Okay. So now we want to style the anchor tags inside the nav links. The anchor tags, the A tags inside the nav links, and we gave it a color of white, text decoration of none, that removes the underline, and it changes the color from that blue that we have been seeing, and it gives you the display of blocks to be the only one that will be on that line, and padding of 8 pixel. Yeah. Remember, this is for mobile view, and I'm going to show you that media query code before the class ends today. Wow. Mm, 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 So I'm going to show you that code now. Now, can we see this? Can we see this? Yeah. So this is how it is right now. Home, about, services and contact, the whole color they have changed. Remember, we gave the header a background color and things like that. So yeah, we have to be working with time right now, because my moderator will soon tell me that. So yes, so of course it's optional, but you can add an over effect, probably text decoration of underline. I mean, quickly do that for you to also see what I mean by this will take time. I don't know what I'm doing. So yes, you can add a text decoration of this, and when you hover over it, you would see this. Yeah. So can you see that? So when you hover over it, that underline effect comes up. Okay, so let me get back to the code base. Um, eh, Next class I will come much more prepared. I did this to take time. So now the main tag, the main tag. Now everything in the main. That's what I mean by, that's what I'm calling out the main. Like yeah, CSS, I'm calling them out. So everything in the main, everything in the main tag, everything in the main tag from here to the end here, main, is, I'm calling it out and I'm giving it a margin all round. When I mean margin, whether it's top, bottom, left or right, it has a margin of 10 pixels. So let me do this now. Yeah, so you can see that little spacing. Let me show you what I mean. You can see that little spacing in front of about. Yeah, so that's what that margin does. That's what that margin does. So let's keep working with time. Content section. Content section. Yeah. So there's a class of content section. Let's go and check the class of content section. And this is that class of content section which contains the about, the paragraph, everything about what is inside the body, the content inside the body. So, and we have given it a background color of white, margin bottom of 20 pixels. That means at the bottom, we want to give it a space in between that content, that class, and another element. We have a padding within it, all round padding, 15 pixels, a border radius of 8 pixels, and a box shadow. We want to give that content section a shadow. And this is how we describe shadow. because of time, I would not really go much into shadow. But please, if I would really love if I'm reminded in the next class that we should discuss it. Because of time, I really do not want to go into that. So let me refresh this and let's see what is going on at the moment. So can we see this? Can we see the box shadow? Can we see the box shadow? And can we see the card? How the border radius is showing? Yes. And every element, every property, every value are given each property and how they're having its effect at the moment. Excuse me. Really working with time right now. So let's go back to our code base and what is the next thing we are working with. Wow. Is how I'm going to finish this thing before 12. And I still want you guys to understand. So services container. So we're talking about the services container and yes, we're talking about the services container. Where's the services container class? Oh yeah, right here. Right here. Services container class is right here. Within the content section, of course there are two content sections, but we can now look at it that there's also a services container class. That's what we want to start right now. So of course I've explained the display flex. When you talk about display flex, oh, you made it a flex box, but what direction? What direction you give? You want it to be column. What do you mean by column? Or vertical? And you are giving that column spacings between each element within that column. You are giving it 20 pixels. So yeah, we'll see that right now. So can we see now the services have been the services are now well spaced. Yeah, services are now well. This is our services that so this service is now well spaced. So not to waste much of our time. Services card. So now the next thing we are styling is the service card. Service card. So yeah. That if we do not cover, I really want to apologize. That's on me. This is something I should have planned more for. This like planned. I should have factored time more, but I really thought it's something would be fast hit. But please, you can still get a lot from this. In fact, you will get a lot, and I really hope because I'm giving it my best, and I really hope it's serving that purpose of you understanding. So the service card, which is within the services container, we're giving it a style, background, the padding, a border radius, and a text align of center. So let me just save that and come and see it here in the code base. Come and see it here on the browser. Yeah, so this is what we are doing right now. So we're giving each service, each service. So yeah, start to go back. It's time to let's avoid the ready for distraction. Let's go back to our code base. Okay. I'm not going to add any over effect again because of time. So but let us go to yes, let's start this highlight. Okay. The highlight. I'm looking for the class of highlight. Okay. So now, what do I mean by the class of highlight? The span within. Hello, who is that? Is that Victor? Hello. Someone. Hello, Victor. Are you trying to speak?
No,
You
someone
can go ahead.
else meeting. Just So you have 21 minutes left, sir. And you have
I'm aware of that.
some
Yes, and I
questions.
have to take questions. Yes, and I have to also take questions. I'm very much aware of that. Yeah, so I would work with time. I'm been working with time, and the next 10 minutes I'll be done. Yeah, thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much. So let's get back to this. So yes, text of highlights, good. So that will show effect in this paragraph tag. So yeah. So yeah, let me reload this. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to. This is the effect. So we give it a span and we give it a class of this. So I think the last thing we would love to do is to style the footer. I don't want to take much more time. Is to style the footer, and just going to take 10 minutes for that. I think I'm going to ask Ayodidis how he was able to manage his time. So let's go back to our code base. And yeah, see, so I've pasted that code for about the footer. We have styled the footer at the moment, which is the last thing. That's the word, that's the last thing. And let's get back to our browser and let's see how that style taking its effect. So voila, it has done that. It has done that. So this is our footer now, well styled. Now, we are going straight into it becoming suitable. This is suitable for mobile view. This is suitable for mobile view. Because I'm sharing my screen, it might not be well appreciated. Yes, it might not be well appreciated, that's the truth, but this is suitable for mobile view at the moment. Can you see? I hope I can. I hope this is showing very well. This is suitable for mobile view, but we want to make it responsive now. We want to make it applicable for desktop screen. So let me give you the brief. Let me give you a quick understanding, or a simple understanding. The same elements, the same tags, the same IDs, the same classes, the same styling that we use, but we now want to give it a minimum width for screens that are above 768 and above. See, this is beautiful for mobile. See how beautiful it is for mobile. But we are not just designing for mobile. We are designing for cross platforms, for different screens. So, and that's the code base I want to give it to you now. So we don't need to go over, for this, for it to be mobile responsive, give it this style, give it this style, give it this style for everything. We want to style the header. We've done that already. But I just want to say, okay, this is what applies. So that when you are going through the code, you'll be able to understand that, okay, this is what applies for screens that are above this specific style. And that's what the next code is going to do. I'm going to explain it again, you understand, so that I can take questions within the next 10 minutes. I'm going to explain that again. So let me share my code base with you. And now, for tablet screens and above, for tablet screens and above, okay, because so sorry about the time. Yeah. So let me now explain this line of code in English, as I normally say. I didn't have time to remove the comments, but it's just for you to understand. So when we are talking about a minimum width of 768, we are just saying, as I've explained during the slide, we are saying that every width that is 768 and above, these are the styles that apply to it. The main, which is here, the main, which is the body, we have a margin of 20 pixels and a max width of 90 pixels. That means out of the total width of that screen, it is to use a maximum. The highest you can use is 90%, and that's what is being described here. So that's that in English. But here we gave the body a margin of 0, but for Screens that are 768 and above, we're talking about tablets, we're talking about desktop, they should have a margin. Now, I've explained what this is. Let me explain. This is margin. This is margin. What this means is oh, time. Margin margin left, margin top. Margin top is 20 pixel. Firstly, I am working with time right now. I have to conclude this thing in the next 10 minutes. Margin bottom. I'm explaining what that margin means when you see margin like that, so that you won't be confused. Margin bottom of 20 pixels. Now we are talking about a margin right. What this auto means is that it positions it at the center of the screen, irregardless of where that screen is. Margin right and margin left. Yeah, so that's what this margin means. So let me comment this out. So that's that. So what 20 pixel auto means is that, oh, the margin top, the margin bottom, 20 pixel, margin right, margin left, sorry, margin right is auto. So that's that. So the main header, which we gave a previous padding for new desktop screen of 15 pixel, we are giving it what? 20 pixel. We are giving it a okay, 20 pixel, nav links 20 pixel. So these are styles that have been used, but now we are designing for desktop. So if you go over it, I want you to get, and I've given comments on how those screens that should be. So of course, this is for desktop style. We just designed for tablet. Now we are designing for desktop, and these are the styles that have been given to it. So if we save because of time, and that's why I had to just go through it like that. If we save and we come to yes, if we come to it now, we feel it's much better. Let me show you how it is now. This is much better. This is much better now. This is much better. So that's what we just designed. So I really hope, of course, at the last moment I was rushing, so I'm very sorry for that. But I really hope every comment that and that's why I took time to add comments to every line, every block of code there, so that when you read it yourself, you'll be able to understand. And of course, for the next 10 minutes, I'm available for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tolu, for that wonderful section. Please, all the participants, you check the chat and see the attendance link, and as well you can drop your question for our facilitators to shed more light on anything you don't understand during the section. So you can please check the chat box for the attendance link, please, and also you can paste your question here so that Mr. Tolu Alashe can answer your question. Thank you.
So yes, I'm available for your questions. Thank you very much. And please do well to still reach out after this class for your questions. Please, that's why you are here. You understand? You are here to have clarity. So I'll take some questions that time can permit. So I can just see one question here.
Yeah.
I can see one question here. It said, please, sir, how can I get the codes? Sir, I just joined not quite long ago. I'm going to send my GitHub link again. That GitHub link, I'm going to send it again to you right now. So you can get the code from there. Yeah. So please do well to go through it. So I think that has answered this person's question. The CSS code is available on that same. Let me share my screen so that you can see. Is available. This is it. See, the CSS code is right here. I hope you can all see my screen. The CSS code is style.cs. It's in this style.cs file. When you click on it, you have it here. So I wrote enough comments. I worked on this. I've not slept since I think one of the things are causing a little bit of fatigue. I've not slept since 1 a.m. So I took time to just make sure, because I was also concerned with the fact that we might not finish the class. So I added comments to every block so that anybody can just read through, and understand this is the function of this code. So don't be scared to look at the code base. Sincerely, there's nothing there. And let me give you one tip that you can use. You can open ChatGPT and don't take everything all of a sudden. No, learn how to work line by line, step by step. You understand? Take one block of code and ask the artificial intelligence to explain it to you. You understand? Ask the ChatGPT or anything you want to use to explain it to you. If you read my comments and you still don't understand, I hope you get that. So I've described where the CSS is, and I've described how you can use the CSS. So let me get back to the chat. I think that's that. So any other question? Victor, is there any other question? Hello, Victor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so no questions. My chat history also cleared, so
Okay.
only someone earlier in the chat. I know there were a few questions about Code Pen. There were some people that were following on mobile, but it wasn't working, so they had that issue.
It wasn't working.
Yeah, they couldn't see the live updates. Right, that was that.
I get. The way I'm like, they can't be coding as they are looking at it. As I'm teaching, they can't be coding or code pen. Is that what they are trying to say?
I think it's that they wrote the code, they loaded it, but they did not see the results.
They did not on mobile.
Yes, on mobile. So people on mobile had difficulty. Yes.
Okay. Please, Victor, help me to note those. That's an error now. Help me to note it so that before the next class we can address that.
All right.
Yeah.
Then some of your classmates were interested in how to find the Xcode for background colors, but the code for background colors. But I told them to check Xcode because that's how it's done.
Okay.
In graphics design.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's very good. That has answered that. Answered that. So thank you very much for being a wonderful moderator. Thank you very much.
It's good to have experience across board.
It's true.